This is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you how to make a square using cubic right angle weave, or more commonly known as craw. So cubic right angle weave is a beautiful thing, so I want to show you a couple examples here. So let me show you this beautiful mint necklace here, and this is cubic right angle weave that is done in just a rope style. So you can just see that those 4mm Czech fire polish beads, which is exactly what we're going to be using here in our demonstration today, that is how it comes together in just a very simple rope form. Now I do have what we're going to be doing here, which is a nice square. So this is a very simple basic shape, and it really lends itself really nicely to the cubic right angle weave. So what we have here, and you can kind of see some of the spaces through there, it becomes a nice little three-dimensional little square. And I've just run a chain through the center of it just as a nice little necklace. And this uses 2mm beads. So you can just see the vast size difference side by side of a 4mm versus a 2mm. So like I said, we're going to be using 4mm Czech fire polish beads here today. And I have some FireLine here, and I'm going to be using the 6-pound. Now, if your beads are smaller like that too, you're probably going to be wanting to use a 4-pound, but for my demonstration here, I wanted to use a nice thick black cord so that it's going to show up nicely for you against those white beads. So again, I have about a 6-pound, and I have maybe 1.5 yards of thread on my needle, and I'm using a size 12 beading needle. And the only other tool that we're going to be using today is we have a thread zap. You can also use a pair of scissors or snips as well, and that's just to help us tie off when we get to the end. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on this. Now this is an advanced technique. If you are unfamiliar with right angle weave, we do have plenty of tutorials showing you how to do just the basic right angle weave that's a nice flat weave. And we do have other videos showing you exactly how to do that rope, which is just that regular cubic right angle weave. But for this one, I'm going to show you how to do the turns. So let's go ahead and start our right angle weave. And we're going to start it the same way as we would start any other right angle weave, is we're going to pick up 4 of our Czech fire polish beads. And I'm going to slide those down close to the end here, all the way down there. And I'm going to take my cord and make a nice little overhand knot, bringing those 4 beads together. And I'm just going to double knot that. All right, give it a nice little tug, nice and snug. All right, so this should look very familiar to you if you've done right angle weave. So we have our little unit. Now, when we talk about units, this is a unit of 4. So this is kind of where we're going to start. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go up through one of my beads to the side there. So I have my thread coming out the top. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pretend like we're doing a flat right angle weave, and we're just going to add one more unit to the side. So we are going to pick up 3 beads because we already have 1 there. And I'm going to go around and go up through that bead right there that we are coming out of. And this is going to come together and create our second little unit. Now, I'm just going to give it a little tug and tighten everything up. We want this to be nice and snug and stiff, but not too much so that those beads are crowded, but you're going to kind of see how it all starts to form together. All right, so now we have our cubic right angle weave. Now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of pretend that that's our little corner there, and we're just going to fold it in on each other, just like so. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come through, and we're going to go through this bead right here at the top. And bring our needle through. And now we just need to pick up 2 more beads because we're going to complete that unit at the top, bringing these together. So you see we started to bring our little units all together there. And if you ever get lost, just keep going around the thread path. That's the best tip I have for you when you're doing right angle weave. All right, so I'm coming out of this bead right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of rotate my work because I want to get everybody nice and snug here. So I'm going to go up through this first bead, and pull that through. And then I'm going to rotate, and this is my tail here, I'm going to rotate one more time, kind of towards me, and I'm going to go through this second bead that's right here, and go ahead and pull that through. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little tug, make sure everybody's staying nice and snug for me. And now I'm going to complete this unit that's on top there. So I'm going to add 2 more beads, and I'm going to come around and go through this bead here. And I'm going to go back up through that initial bead that I first strung in this unit. And then I'm going to rotate towards myself. And I found the last unit here that I'm missing one more bead on. So I'm going to go through that first bead. Through that second bead there. And you can see my little unit of 4 is missing a bead on this next one. So I'm going to pick up 1 bead. And I'm going to go through the one at the bottom. Just like so. All right, so now continue to go around the thread path. Making sure your tail stays out of the way. All right, just going to tighten that up real quick. All right, and we're going to go up through that little top bead there. And then what we're going to do, because we want all of our units to be nice and connected, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to rotate it towards the top. So you can see that I have 4 little beads sitting on the top there, but they're not actually connected in a round. So all I'm going to do is just take my needle and go all the way through and go all the way around. Making sure that there's a nice thread bridge between all of those beads. All right, so this is our first little unit. So as you can see with those black threads, you should have a little triangle in between each one. That means they're all connected with each little piece there. And I'm actually noticing that I'm missing one right there. So go ahead and if you need to, this is where it's nice and easy to double check because you want a good sort of anchor unit. There we go. All right. So yeah, so that's how you just kind of look at the right angle weave, and you can just keep going around and around if you need to. All right. So now that we have this guy here, and I'm actually going to pull my other example over here just so you can see it. So when you look at this now for cubic right angle weave, we're going to consider this 1 unit. So when you're doing flat right angle weave, you're thinking of the top 4 there as like your flat, that's 1 unit. So it just depends on how you want to count your units. Sometimes people count the top bead, sometimes people count the space in between. So you can just see that what we're going to create is we're going to create 5 units connected together before we make our first turn. So I'm going to show you how to do 5 units, and then I'm going to show you how to do the turn. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on with our units. So I'm going to go ahead and go up through one of these beads because I like to start with it going up just like this because then I can just kind of rotate it. So once you have this unit, it's really easy to handle. So I'm going to move a little bit quicker. I do have a video that goes a little bit slower here, but I'm just going to kind of move right along here. All right, so let's pick up 3 beads and through there and rotate towards myself and 1 more bead. And now I'm going to pick up 2 to complete that unit, go through that bead at the bottom, bring that together, go up through my bead at the top, nice little tug, and rotate, do the same thing, because now we're just adding 2 beads. 1, 2, picking it up, going through the bottom bead, and going through that side bead there. Rotating, going up through that next bead. And this is our last little portion here where we just are going to go through that first bead. add one bead, and down through. And now let's go up. And we're going to go through that bead there. Rotating, taking again a look at our top there. And we're just going to go all the way around and create our second unit. So you can see how fast it really does come together. So then once we're done here, we are ready to start our next unit. And just by going through that last bead there, again, just making sure that everybody is nice and connected. All right, so now we're ready to do our third unit. So same thing, picking up 1, 2, 3. Rotating, going through that bead, picking up 1, 2, going through that bottom bead now, going up through the top, rotating, going through that next bead, picking up 2 beads, going through that last bead, and we're to our unit where we just need to add that 1 bead. And then we're just going to go all the way around here until we get up to the top. And now going around. I wouldn't try to go through 2 beads at one time. I think you'll kind of mess up your thread, so don't try to rush. I know I'm moving quickly here, but all right. So that is, as we're going to count them, 3 units. I personally like to count the spaces, so 1, 2, 3, but you'll see that it's the same if you count the top bead, 1, 2, 3. All right, now of course on your piece you won't see as much of that thread. I just wanted to do it for my demonstration here. All right, so I'm going to weave 2 more units and then I'm going to show you how to do that turn. So I'll be back as soon as I'm done with those next 2 units. All right, so I'm just finishing up the top loop of that last little unit there. And we just want to make sure that we go, again, all the way around. And 1 more. Okay. All right, so now you have a choice to make. And it's kind of however you like to work. What we're going to do is we're going to, in essence, be going one way or the other on this. So obviously, I'm not going to be able to add another unit on this direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through... Well, okay, let me put it to you this way. However you like to work with your hands, you can either start to make the turn and go this direction, or you can go up. It's just however you want to do it. And again, this is right angle weave, so as long as you're going along the thread path and not jumping across beads, you never want to cross the center line of the bead there. As you can kind of see, you can see my little units. They have a nice little thread path thing happening in there. So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to rotate mine so that I'm holding it like this. So my thread is coming out of the top and it's coming out straight towards me from that bead that is right there on the edge. So then this bead over here becomes our corner bead, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 more unit, but we're going to keep it to the side here. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to pick up 3 beads. And we're going to do it just as though we're looking top down there, coming around, and this should feel just like normal. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to go towards myself and I'm going to go down through that bead that I already have there to the side. But we want to make sure that he stays just like that. So what we're going to do is the first unit we're going to do is we're going to anchor him with 2 more beads, and we're going to go through and around. So we came through and around. So now I'm going to go actually down through that bead that I just added there, or that was already there. And then I'm going to kind of rotate my piece up, and you can see that there's this little sneaky one in the center there. So this is the inside corner. So go ahead and take your needle and go down through that corner. And you can just see that I flipped the whole piece. So we're coming down through. And now I'm working on that bead I'm coming out and that one that I added from the last unit, so I just need to add 2 more beads. So this is just where it gets a little snug, but this is where you want it to be nice and tight and firm because you're making that nice corner. All right, so now we've made our next unit there. And now go back down through that inside corner bead. And go through. Now we're going to kind of rotate one more time. And you can see that we're starting to make that little L shape there. Go down through that next bead there. And now you can see that we have our 3. So we're going to just continue and kind of pull that tight. And we're going to add 1 more bead coming across like that. So we want to go through that top unit and then go all the way around, because what we want to do is we want to come back up, and just like we did before, so now watch me rotate. I'm going to rotate it back the way it should be, and then I'm going to rotate it up because we want to see that beautiful unit at the top again. All right, now I'm going to keep mine going this direction. You can go the opposite direction. Another great thing about right angle weave, whichever direction you find yourself going, it will work. So just keep following that thread path. All right, so now you can see that this is all starting to look familiar as I'm finishing up that top unit. And again, rotated one more time. All right, so I have my top unit done and ready to go. So now we're just going to kind of continue our path here, just the same as we did before. So we're going to do 5 units. Now don't forget, you're counting this unit twice. So we've already technically done 1, 2 units. So this unit that I'm building right now is the 3rd unit. And this we just do exactly the same. So we just rotate. And again, trying to keep everything with good tension, not too tight. We don't want to crowd our beads, but just nice and tight. So I'm going to continue to build this unit, and I want to show you what it looks like when I finish it, and we're going to bring those 2 ends together here. So you're going to make the 3rd turn and the 4th turn, same as we did on that first one, and then I'm going to show you how to link those units together once we get all the way down here. All right, so I'll see you back here in just a moment. All right, so we have gotten to this point here. So I'm just going to kind of show you. I have 1, 2, 3 units at the top. And I technically have that 4th unit over here, but what we're going to do, or rather that 5th unit, but we're going to create that 4th unit right here. So this is where my thread is coming out. It's coming out of this bead right here. So now to complete that unit there, I'm going to be adding 1 bead, going through, and then adding 1 more bead here. So we're going to pick it up and picking up 1 more bead, and I'm going to go up through this one on the side. And this is going to kind of help pull that and kind of zip it together, if you will. And then add 1 more bead, and then come down and go through this bead on the side. So that is going to complete our little unit right there. So now we're just going to go down through that next bead there, and I'm going to kind of rotate it up so we can look almost towards the back there and pull that through. So now I'm coming out of this bead. I have another bead right there, and then I have this corner bead as my 3rd bead that's going in there. So I just need to add 1 more bead, and I'm going to go through this corner bead here on the inside corner there, and I'm kind of coming out the back and pull that through. So you can just see kind of on the inside there, that's the little unit that we just made. So now go ahead and go through our little top bead there. And again, just kind of really pull it snug. This is where we want to tighten everything up. We're going to go down through that center bead there toward the back. And now we're going to complete this next unit. So we're going to go down, pick up 1 bead, and then we're going to come across here and go up through that one. And completing the unit, we're going to go all the way around here. And again, making sure everything kind of tightens up nicely. And go down. And then we're going to rotate our whole piece. And now we're just going to link this whole unit together here because we want to make sure that we, again, have that thread bridge in between each bead. We don't want to leave anybody hanging there. And this will tighten it up nicely. All right. And all the way around. There we go. So that is how to complete the square. So all we have left to do is to tie off our threads. So I'm going to show you really quick how to do that. So just kind of go through a few of the adjacent beads. Now you can see that this has a little bit of mobility to it. Mine isn't as tight as you can get it. So one thing I want to tell you is that you can just kind of keep going through and following along that thread path, especially if you already have a nice thick thread and you have that space to do so. It might start to get tight on those kind of inside corners. Those are generally the tightest spots, but just go ahead and keep winding through. And then when you're ready to tie off, just go through and catch a little thread bridge there. Pull that up and take your needle and go through that little loop there. And that's going to bring a nice little knot down to the end. And then just go ahead and keep weaving through. And we'll just go around once more. And I'm just going to remove my needle from that side. I'm going to add it to this first side here. All right, I'm having a little trouble threading my needle, so I'm actually going to show you a little trick. I have a pair of chain nose pliers here, so I'm just going to squish the end there, and it's going to create a little flat piece. So hopefully this will help me thread my needle a little bit faster. There we go. All right, just a little tip in case you have a little pair of chain nose pliers hanging around. All right, so we're going to do the same with this one. Now this one already does have a knot to it, so I just want to go through and just get it away from the other tail a little bit. Go down, catch a thread bridge, and pull a little knot, and then just go through one more bead there. All right, so now I'm going to remove my needle and take my thread zap, remove the safety. Go ahead and put that up. It's going to heat up there on the tip. And actually, I'm going to hold it like this so you can see. And all that does is just zap off that little thread from that side and zap off that little thread from that side. Always be sure to put your safety back on and set that aside. So that is how to do a little square in cubic right angle weave. Again, you can get this tighter. There is a side that feels tighter to me. And then you can also have it a little bit looser if you want to create more of a drop shape or if you're going to be sort of molding that to be part of something else. But that is the basic technique to do that little right angle. Now you can also do a shape where you're doing maybe zigzags. You just, kind of go through, and instead of working this way, you then go that way and then that way. So it's just the exact same technique, and you can create lots of really interesting pieces with this and have a lot of fun with cubic right angle weave. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more tutorials and videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com.